Now, in the months following the night of martial law, Korea's diplomatic capacity was restrained due to uncertainty over Yoon's impeachment. However, the past year has shown Korea's democratic and diplomatic resilience, according to one international observer. Our Oh Soo-young reports.
A year after the martial law crisis unsettled South Koreans and foreign observers, the country's diplomatic standing has been restored by democratic resilience and top-level diplomacy. That's according to former EU ambassador to South Korea, Michael Reiterer, who was in Seoul on the night the December 3rd decree was declared. He recalls the disbelief that swept through diplomatic circles as events unfolded.
I think I shared probably at the beginning the feeling with the international community that cannot be. This is not true. That was also the reaction of some Koreans around me at that evening.
Initial shock quickly evolved into deeper evaluation of what the crisis revealed. He cited warning signs within the previous administration and long-standing vulnerabilities in Korea's political architecture.
If you look at this night, probably without civil society and with parliamentarians jumping over the fence and a military not really engaging, the whole thing could have turned completely different. So how is it possible that this declaration could have happened?
Korea's democratic resilience, he noted, has long rested on the strength of its civic mobilization, which he observed over 2 presidential impeachment crises.
Well, I think the Korean history is actually a very strong argument because the engagement of civil society in Korea is probably stronger than in other countries. I mean, I've seen it with my own eyes. 2017, I have seen it. I have seen it last year when I was in Korea and when I saw demonstrations against President Yoon at the time. So I think the pressure from the street is a corrective.
But he warned that relying on the public alone to prevent such crises is insufficient. Reiterer pointed to renewed discussions on constitutional reform to prevent a deadlock between the president and the executive.
And I think the lesson to be learned is that there should be something done about the presidential term, and perhaps also to make sure that the parliament and the president somehow are elected in parallel. Because one of the reasons for this coup efforts were the frustration that the president was blocked by the parliament.
Still, he noted that the world now sees Korea as having passed a significant stress test. At a time when Seoul is seeking a greater role in global affairs, from supply chain resilience to outreach to the global south, its swift return to high-level diplomacy after the crisis helped restore confidence abroad.
The international community, I think, has accepted now that Korea is back and back on track. We have seen that President Lee could host the APEC summit. He traveled to the United States. He stopped over in Tokyo. I think there is now a sound basis. And you also have a foreign minister now, Yoon, who has a long experience as a diplomat, and I think he can certainly make sure that the ship remains on course, even if there are some waves on the ocean.
With Korea seeking greater influence from G7 level engagement to semiconductor supply chain leadership, Reiterer stresses that foreign policy cannot be separated from internal cohesion.
The country has to unite and stay together because there are big challenges to meet. And if foreign policy starts at home, then you have to be consolidated at home. And I think, therefore, Korea would have an interest to have a more cooperative domestic environment in order to be stronger internationally.
1 year on, Korea's partners believe the country's democratic foundations remain intact, but its foreign policy role will grow only as steadily as the institutions that support it. Oh Soo-young, ArirangNews.